countdown is once again underway at Cape Canaveral for the attempt to launch astronaut John Glenn into orbit around the world.
Reporting to the British Broadcasting Corporation in London. The 0 hour for Colonel Glenn's launch.
En Floride, où une fois de plus, les dernières minutes de départ de l'astronaute américain.
Dato contare i minuti per l'astronauta americano John Glenn al Cape Canaveral, Florida.
يتحضر مرة ثانية لدورته حول العالم.
佛罗里达州塔纳法国太空航行员约翰·格林。
ケープカナベラルではアメリカの宇宙飛行士ジョン・グレンの早期を目前に。
Proyecto Mercurio han reportado que ambos, el astronauta y su cohete Friendship 7,
And report the astronaut's condition as excellent. Colonel Glenn at Cape Canaveral. And then astronaut Glenn, weather still remains the big question mark. But the countdown for John Glenn, the countdown is again underway.
With the entire world as our witness, the countdown begins at Cape Canaveral, Florida, for one of man's greatest adventures. It begins here with these men, for they are the launch team. And from now until the instant of flight, the fate of today's mission rests principally upon their skills and judgments. The countdown is their master plan, and they proceed through its ritual with unhurried deliberation. Its pages contain the timetable of order they must follow to awaken a giant machine, to test its readiness, and to prime it for the one supreme moment for which it was created.
ISO low now, meter reads 19 volts. 12 volt standby on, now meter reads 11.5. 6 volt isolated.
Minute after minute, page upon page, the count continues. And in the night beyond this blockhouse, a modified Air Force Atlas rocket now hums with restless energy beneath a Mercury spacecraft as these men usher it toward its final minutes on Earth. Today is February 20th, 1962. And today, if all goes well, the men here will launch an American astronaut into orbit around the world in a spacecraft which he has named Friendship 7. Friendship 7 awaits its pilot. And the pilot has waited 3 years for this day. 3 long, arduous years of study, of training, of waiting. And now he's ready. His name is John Glenn. Astronaut John Glenn of New Concord, Ohio, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Marine Corps. Married, father of 2 teenage children. Glenn has been a pilot over half of his 40 years, has flown in 2 wars, and is a veteran test pilot who 5 years earlier established a transcontinental flight record as the first man to average supersonic speeds across America. He volunteered for spaceflight, is one of 7 astronauts selected for Project Mercury, the man in space program directed by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Two teammates have pioneered the way into space for Glenn. astronauts Alan Shepard and Virgil Grissom tested the Mercury spacecraft on trailblazing suborbital missions, proving the equipment and pushing the program to the threshold of orbital flight. And now, it's Glenn's turn.
Ready for pressurization.
Now to Glenn falls the challenge of man's next advance into space, for he has been chosen to cross the threshold gained by Shepard and Grissom and to orbit the world. So the countdown continues for John Glenn. And it continues beyond this room for Friendship 7. And it continues this moment around the world. These are John Glenn's ground-based co-pilots, men he knows well, with whom he's trained, and in whose judgment his life is entrusted this day. They are the flight controllers, and from the Mercury Control Center, within view of the launch complex, they make the decisions, issue the commands that will govern the course of the mission. To these men throughout the flight will flood the facts needed for decision. The scope of their responsibility of the entire operation defies comprehension. Now, this very instant, the countdown for flight continues around the world, on 3 continents, on islands, in ships and planes, in lands where it's summer and tomorrow is near, in lands where it's winter, and this day is just beginning.
Roger, how about you recovery? On recovery, go. Roger, recovery. Roger, CTC, Mercury Control Center is go.